Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest iteration of the web series, The Nature of Predators. If you are new to the series, there is a playlist listed down below in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 123. Memory transcription subject, Slaneck, Vendel Space Corps. Date, standardized human time, January 16th, 2137. The infected predators were whisked out of the research station and away from the Battle of Maloo to be isolated in quarantine. The Colchians had been holding the inner sanctum of the system since the human fleet was mainly composed of Dirtian allies, with the goal of a cured Terran race making itself evident. Sending rescue teams for the Dozer prisoners was inadvisable. That would need to wait proper biohazard gear, which would take days, if not weeks, to arrive. Earth was making preparations for itself and its colonies to counter bioterrorist measures. Marcel wanted nothing to do with me. During our ride to the quarantine station, the cured humans would be kept isolated for study, until they determined whether the disease was communicable. Initial observations didn't suggest transmissibility through close contact, though it wasn't clear if other means could spread the virus. All of us relinquished blood samples for the scientists' team to pursue. Tests were run to determine the extent of the allergic reactions, and doctors came prepared to treat anaphylaxis. My blood work was the only one that came back allergen-free. It had been determined that the human-tailored bioweapon couldn't cross the species border to other sapiens. As such, I didn't have to worry about any modifications to my genome, and I was free to leave at any time. The medical staff became primarily Xerillian too, after the development was confirmed. Nobody has brought up my execution of the Colchian prisoners, but it is a matter of time. Has Marcel not been feeling well enough to raise the alarm? Concern for the redhead was the reason I hadn't vacated the vicinity. No matter what, having him in this situation strained my heart. I wandered up to a Xerillian medic who was conversing with the human in biohazard gear. The quadruped swiveled around, and his face jogged some faint recognition in my mind. Had I seen this individual before? No. What mattered was discovering how Marcel was holding up, since my former best friend wouldn't speak to me. "Slaneck!" the Xerillian announced. "Just the Vendel I was hoping to find. When I heard you and Marcel were amongst the infected, I had to come." I leaned my head back. "We do know each other. You were there at the Battle of Earth, helping to save his family. Your name is Wylan. You might remember my wife Fraser, too. We wound up living on Earth after the war, sharing notes on human and alien physiology with top experts." Fraser ducked out from within a cabinet. "The Xerillian exchange program was a great way to get to learn what the predators are really like. They don't deserve this. I understand how close you were with your human, Slaneck. Mine is into gardening. Gardening for fun. A predator." "I don't give a shit. We met for about an hour months ago. We're not friends." "Cool." My tail twitched with irritation. "Could you guys tell me how Marcel is doing?" Wylan squinted. "You haven't asked him yourself?" "No, of course I have. I just mean from a doctor's perspective. What's going on biologically? I'm worried, and I wouldn't want to ask in front of him. He might not be as straightforward if it was bad news. Walk with me. I have to deliver these fever-reducing medicines to the sick ones," Fraser replied. "The short version is the virus inserts DNA into the human genome, which induces desired immune reactions to specific meat-based proteins and enzymes. The severity varies from person to person." Wylan trotted off to his wife. "I was just talking about Marcel's blood work. I want to help him. What Fraser is saying is that some humans may only react severely to meat and egg foods. Others are more sensitive to lesser things they eat, like animal lactation, boiled animal tendons in gummies, and even things they wear, like cured hides." "They put what in gummies?" I shrieked. "I thought you knew." "Forget it, Doctor. How does this relate to Marcel?" "Marcel's blood shows signs of an especially sensitive reaction," Fraser commented. "It could be because he's vegetarian, so some of the proteins are particularly foreign to his body." Wylan pawed at his semicircular ear. "I'm sure you don't like to think about your friend, but predatory items pervade human culture, far beyond diet. His furniture and clothes are probably animal-sourced. Their medicine, a nurturing field by definition, is no longer safe to him. We won't be able to get egg-based vaccines. I was informed by a human colleague that even cosmetics for dry skin and shoe polish might be off limits." "Treatments for dry skin triggered the cure?" I blinked in confusion, unable to believe the predatory items ran that deep within my human. "Why?" "Because of a wool grease called lanolin. Look, he's going to need to be very careful. Our simulations suggest extreme cases like Marcel can't even breathe the vapors of cooking meat without triggering anaphylaxis. Fraser slipped a pill packet under the door. Wyland and I were shocked, realizing how deep hunting runs in the fabric of human society. It's almost better to not know. What do you think you should be done, dear? I think it might be best for Marcel to live on a Federation world, if he needs to avoid animal products altogether. Maybe you could offer to take him in, Slinek, on Vendel Prime. My legs locked up and left me unable to follow the Zerillian medics. Wyland and Fraser whirled around, noting the shock on my features. Since Marcel didn't consume meat in the first place, I figured the cure wouldn't affect his daily life at all. It was within my knowledge that he ate some animal products, such as the revolting lactation juice Wyland mentioned. But I figured those would be cut out of the diet too. It wouldn't be that big of an adjustment, given that my human already avoided them around me. But now, I realized something as simple as his slick couch in his earthly home would induce the allergic reaction. Marcel couldn't go to social events with other humans. If breathing in the scent of flesh would place him in jeopardy, that would have precluded hanging out with drowned Tyler or being in the service at all. The vegetarian's military days were over. It didn't seem fair that his ordinary life was ruined too. Crap, if he got sick, he couldn't seek some treatments at a Terran hospital anymore. Poor Marcel will have to think of every little thing, and as small as treating chapped lips in the winter. If he stays in his world, I don't know if he can go out in public without a risk, but he certainly doesn't want to live with me. I pinned my ears back, searching for an excuse. Marcel has family on Earth here. He has a life there. It will be difficult for his predator relatives and friends to accommodate him. They need to be very cognizant, Wyland said. I'm not pressuring you into do anything you don't want to, but if you care about him, you need to tell him what staying on Earth means for him. He could wear some breathing mask, a contact suit. Fraser scrunched her nose. Maybe. But does he want to do that every day of his life? It's a rough situation, though there is good news, Slinek. What is? That he's not dead? I'm sorry that you're so upset. But the good news is, for the air transmission version, there might be some hope of reversing the cure in the near future. The humans have their own gene splicing systems, such as the CRISPR. This incident helps them understand the general principles of what the cure adds, so it might help them identify unnatural edits in other species too. I don't care about other species. They don't want it undone. I can fecking tell you that. Marcel does. Well, the humans might be able to undo his gene edits with proper study. If he chooses to stay away from Earth, it might only be for a little while. His normal life might be restored in a few years, maybe months. Terrans are quick studies. Hearing that the Predators could figure out a reversal without outside insistence alleviated my guilt for killing Navarus. Clearly, we didn't need any of the prisoners alive to undo the damage. Besides, there were more captives, like the scientists my friend had brought in, who could provide the information Earth sought. That demonic Colchian who laughed at the idea of destroying Terran culture deserved a bullet to the head. Marcel was unreasonable, but other humans might be more rational. Maybe I was fretting over one man's skewed morality. I chewed on what the Zerillian doctors imparted. You qualified the hope of reversing the cure as being for the airborne version. Does that mean the other humans from the research station are incurable? We didn't say that. But the injected serum is much harder to cure, Wyland proclaimed. I think that's why the Colchians favor that method when given a choice. They transmit the virus directly into the bloodstream and also inject certain proteins and enzymes into the skin to spark allergies the old-fashioned way. I see. So they're permanent herbivores. Permanent is a strong word, Slinek. Curing the genetic side would prevent the disease from being passed off to offspring, at least. Fraser flicked her ears. Besides, I expect you would know, as a vegetarian's friend, even if those people are eating grass, humans are still violent predators. The Colchians succeeded in pissing them off, not gentling them. Right. What makes them human is that they're insane, Wyland remarked. So, my Vendel buddy, are you able to break the news to Marcel for us? He deserves to know right away, and it would be better coming from you, friend.